Hello, wankers. It's your old mate Flapjack Bickle here, to share a few thoughts about the 1983 film The King of Comedy, which features Robert De Niro as aspiring stand-up comic Rupert Pupkin, who dreams of being as famous as his idol, chat show host Jerry Langford. So this is a story of a humble man patiently working his way up from the bottom, right? Wrong. You see, Rupert's not really blessed with patience or sanity, so he decides to bypass all that time-consuming crap and just go straight to the top. And how does he achieve this? By abducting his hero Jerry, of course. Not for the ransom money, though, but to negotiate a 10-minute slot on his primetime show. Before we get to the juice of this video, I just want to point out that some people have stated this film isn't a comedy. Now, I don't know if they're saying that because they think it sounds hip or makes them sound intellectual, but I have to say, with all due respect, they are full of shit. If a film's tone is predominantly comedic from start to finish, then it's a fucking comedy, end of. Okay, now to the main question. Is Rupert Pupkin's stand-up act at the end of the movie too good? No one ever seems to highlight this issue, but it's something that's always kind of bothered me. Director Martin Scorsese and writer Paul Zinnemann seem to be condemning the 15 minutes of fame culture where people like Pupkin crave instant recognition and riches in an attempt to fill some kind of emptiness inside them. So when we see Rupert perform and then think, he's actually pretty good, does that undermine or weaken the film's message? Would it have made more sense thematically if he'd flopped lower than whale shit as soon as he got on stage? I should add that some reviewers think his act does stink, but I totally disagree. It's polished, well rehearsed, the timing's spot on, and most of the material is pretty good quality, plus the studio audience are clearly lapping it up. But the idea that Zinnemann could have taken a different narrative route and have Rupert die on stage raises all manner of questions. How would it have changed the film and our perceptions of the main character? Would it have made that stand-up sequence more or less entertaining? Would it have just been too cringe-making to watch, given that we've spent the previous 90 minutes squirming in our seats at Rupert's embarrassing behaviour? Would it have even been believable if he'd sucked? After all, we see throughout the movie that he actually possesses a lot of the requirements necessary to be a successful comedian. He's confident, ambitious, attention-seeking, obsessive, ruthless and warped, so it shouldn't really come as a big surprise when his act turns out to be quite slick. I suppose it's implied at the end of the film that given the twisted nature of celebrity culture, Rupert would have become a star after his appearance on Jerry's show, regardless of whether he actually had any talent. Weighing it up, I'm glad Rupert turns out to be an accomplished comedian, partly because the alternative scenario would just be too depressing. After all, despite his increasingly alarming behaviour, he is a very funny character, and I just can't help rooting for him. To me, he's like Travis Bickle's more affable and less homicidal twin brother. I can imagine a sitcom where they share an apartment together and hang out having fun. Maybe Rupert performs his act for Travis and Travis shows him his .44 Magnum. Then Rupert lectures Travis about gun safety and Travis blows his head off. Yeah, okay, maybe not a sitcom then, but there's an idea in there somewhere. It's been almost 40 years since The King of Comedy hit cinemas, and it's aged surprisingly well. Although it doesn't have the visual flamboyance of some of Scorsese's other classics, it's brilliantly written and acted, with a career best turn by De Niro. Now, this is a great character performance and refreshingly free of the vacant mannerisms and annoying tics that make some of his later appearances a bit of a chore to watch. Well, it's time for me to sign off now and take my medication, so why don't you grab yourself a slice of Pupkin and take a stroll down movie memory lane. Anyway, hope you got a kick out of this video, but if not, please assume the position and kiss my ass. You take care now.